What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you ladies and gentlemen. We got Invest 99W that is currently off the coast of Malaysia. Right now, expected to develop into a cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, and now expected to impact either India or Bangladesh. We have all the new information out for you guys to kind of tune in and give you a better understanding of what may be going on and what we're potentially looking at, because as of right now, as I'm recording this, all 5 of the major models are now calling for cyclone development. And we'll get to those in just a second, but I want to go ahead and kind of look at the satellite for a second. I also want to take a look at the water vapor imagery to give you a better understanding of what we're looking at. Where the water vapor imagery I'm showing you is basically where it's in right now. It's in a massive area of moist air, and it has plenty of room to grow and breed and develop and do all that stuff as it moves through Malaysia, as it moves through Thailand, and then enters the Bay of Bengal north of Sumatra. And then afterward, there may be a bit of dry air as it approaches more and more towards India, but the immediate area where it where it's supposed to enter is an area of very moist air, so we'll have to definitely pay attention to that as time continues to go on. But in an area right now of low wind shear and but rather high moist environment, as well as extremely warm waters, it definitely has that setup to really start growing and developing. But as of right now, we can also start to see that Malaysia and southern Thailand are starting to see some thunderstorms out of this. So if you are tuning in from the Malay Peninsula as well as in southern Thailand, just keep an eye on it. There could be the potential for some flash flooding and mudslides in the more mountainous terrain. So we will have to continue to keep an eye on it as time continues to go on. Here's the current storm information we have right now. The current location is 4.2 degrees north and 107.4 degrees east. Maximum sustained winds are at 15 knots, or about 17.25 miles per hour, and the minimum central pressure is 1,007 millibars, so not that much of a change from 2 days ago. However, the convection is starting to fire up. It's going to take some time to organize even further, but we're seeing a lot of areas of minus 80 cloud tops just off the coast of Malay over here. So definitely something to pay attention to as these thunderstorms start to move further and further into Malaysia, into Singapore as well. So we'll have to pay attention to it once again. So here's what we have going on with the track and potential intensity models right here. As of right now, is expected to move either through the northern Malay Peninsula or southern Thailand right here, and then move into the Bay of Bengal just north of Sumatra. And then from then on out, it is expected to start organizing and developing. And some of the models, the ensembles, get down to like the 970s, 980s ensembles. So we'll have to pay attention to it, especially as it approaches India, especially as it approaches potentially Bangladesh. And we do have one outlier that is expected for this thing to move towards Sri Lanka and then kind of organize and develop off the coast of eastern India. So we will have to pay attention to it as time continues to go on. And now we have all 5 of the operational models to take a look at. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look through all 5 of these models, but with the European, I want to pull up the shear and the moisture forecast to kind of give you a better understanding of what I'm looking at here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. Here's the European model as of right now. Right now, it's off the coast of Malaysia. It's expected to move through there in the next 48 hours, and then it is expected to start organizing and developing in the Bay of Bengal, starting to show signs of that low pressure system south of the Andaman Islands, over in India, and then we'll start to show some signs of tropical storm characteristics, and then we start to see a potential cyclone start to develop as the European is forecasting this to get down to a 994 millibar system, and then down to a 992 millibar system as it slowly meanders towards southeastern India, and bring some potential impacts over there, because now the European is calling for tropical development and could bring some impacts to you all out in eastern India, and we'll have to pay attention to that, because what we can't really pinpoint is where this is going to go and how strong this is going to be, because right now, by the time this thing starts to organize and develop, if it doesn't before it gets to the Malaysian Peninsula, we're looking at like at least 5 days before the start of tropical development in the middle of the Bay of Bengal. So we'll have to pay attention to it as time continues to go on. Next model we're going to go, actually before we go on to the other models, I want to also show you the shear forecast as well as the moisture forecast. If we go ahead and show you the shear forecast as of right now, Where this system is, it's an area of relatively low wind shear. There is a bit of shear to the south of it, but I don't exactly anticipate it to really affect it that much in the long term. The Bay of Bengal's wind shear is forecasted to weaken over the next several days as it moves through south of the Andaman Islands. It is expected to the shear is expected, at least for the next 4 to 5 days, to be rather strong across much of the northern half of the Bay of Bengal. In fact, if we go ahead and show you the shear map as of right now, there are some areas right now of about, I'd say, 50 to 60 knots of wind shear, which is a lot of wind shear, and that definitely could tear apart the system if it's moving through the Bay of Bengal right now. But right now is right now, and the shear is expected to weaken as it starts to organize and develop. And as the shear, as of right here in the northern part of the Bay of Bengal, is far enough away, but not too far away, it really could help enhance the outflow. You're probably asking me right now, Patrick, how is shear going to be helping? You just said the shear was going to kill the system. How exactly does it work? Under the right circumstances, the shear can be beneficial to tropical cyclones organizing. Here, the reason being is because if the shear is far enough away from the core of the system, near the center of circulation, right, what it gets caught into is what is known as the outflow, and the outflow channel are these is basically this huge area of cirrus clouds that kind of moves clockwise, where the other part of it moves counterclockwise. And if that outflow moves through the shear and the shear stays far enough away, what it actually can do is enhance the circulation and increase the circulation, as well as increase the pressure gradient force and the pressure gradient in the tropical cyclone. So that's why it's going to be beneficial. So what I'm looking at right now is something that could be to the effect of that, and this is actually something that's more common than a lot of people think it is. That a lot of people see wind shear and they see it completely tearing the storm apart, but as I've covered over the last 2 years, there have been a lot of scenarios where the shear, where it's planted far enough away, is very beneficial for tropical cyclones. So as of right there, the shear is expected to kind of recede towards December 4th and move, and the 50-knot shear is expected to remain offshore after about the 3rd of December, and then. From then on out, it's expected to slowly head towards India or Bangladesh as time continues to go on. That's the wind shear. Now we need to show you the moisture, because the Indian Ocean, particularly the Bay of Bengal, is surrounded by dry air, and that in itself, if this thing was moving through right now, would probably be enough to kill off the system. But in the next 4 to 5 days, a lot of that dry air is expected to pretty much dissipate and leave a massive moist air pocket that pretty much encapsulates almost all of the Bay of Bengal, except for a few isolated areas off the coast of India and off the coast of Bangladesh, where this thing can organize and develop, and it's expected to remain that way as it starts to continue to develop, and then as it starts pushing towards the Indian subcontinent over there, some dry air could potentially intrude if it gets into the core of the system. However, from what I'm looking at right now and from what the European is forecasting, it is expected to start a battle and start fighting off all this wind shear as it moves closer to land. So this is definitely something we need to continue to pay attention to as time continues to go on. That's the European model for you guys. Next model we're going to go ahead and show you is the GFS model. The GFS is generally a more aggressive model on average, and it kind of shows it here in the 12Z run as it moves off the coast of Malay and as it moves off the coast of Thailand, it starts to quickly organize and develop north of Sumatra and bring impacts to the Andaman Islands in India, and then starts to really rapidly organize and intensify as it actually approaches Bangladesh as a 973 millibar system by December 1st, December 1st, about a week ago from now. So basically, this is showing 12 UTC India or Bangladesh time, which that would be about 6 a.m. U.S. time, which would be about 7 p.m. Bangladesh time. So that's what we're looking at. Expected to get down to 967, actually, not 967, 970, and then starts to weaken as it starts to intrude upon that shear and dry air and make landfall near the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. So this is definitely something we need to pay attention to. However, due to the mountainous terrain, it is forecasted to weaken quickly and dissipate, but not before potentially bringing a lot of storm surge, a lot of rainfall, and a lot of flooding and winds towards that area right there. So definitely something we need to continue to keep an eye on. as time continues to progress and as we continue to monitor this. Next model we're showing you is the CMC, or the Canadian model. The Canadian model has this thing making landfall near Malaysia or and Thailand around 30 hours out, and then it's expected to move into the Bay of Bengal off the coast of Sumatra, and then show signs of organization and develop rather quickly. Actually gets to the 980s as it slowly approaches India, around southeast India as a matter of fact, and brings impacts before making landfall around a upper 980s, lower 990s millibar cyclone. Still enough to bring lots of impacts to especially rural parts of India if it does end up impacting over there. So this is definitely a scenario that we need to all keep an eye on and all need to pay attention to as more data continues to come out. Next model we're going to go ahead and show you is the NavGem, and the NavGem has been one of those models that have been showing signs of organization and development rather early on, and this is no exception. Off the coast of Sumatra, it's expected to start organizing and slowly developing, but then it starts to organize at a faster pace as it moves through the central part of the Bay of Bengal and starts to make its approach towards India and Bangladesh as a 992 millibar system. A lot of these models are showing a really big spread when it comes to all this, and there's apparently a low pressure system that's just to the south of it that could end up resulting in a Fujiwara effect, which is basically this the effect when two tropical cyclones interact if they get close enough, and then for this thing to kind of slam further to the west into southeastern India over there. So all in all, it's a scenario we need to continue to keep an eye on. Last model we're going to go ahead and show you is the Icon model, and the Icon model is showing signs of organization and development after it makes landfall in Siam or Thailand and Malaysia, and then from then on out off the coast of Sumatra, it starts to get its act together, but then we don't really see that much of a low pressure system until about 105 hours out when we start to see signs of organization and development. It gets down to about 1,008 millibar, 1,006 millibar system, and it kind of stays that way for the next about, I'd say, 6 days, but then it starts to show more and more signs of organization and development. Gets down to 1,004 millibars tropical cyclone, which is equivalent to about a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm in the Atlantic Ocean. And then from then on out, we don't exactly know where it's exactly going to be going, but it does look like, as well as the majority of these models so far, they are calling for a southeastern India landfall. So if you're tuning in from the southeastern part of India and you're watching this, I would continue to keep a very close eye on this as time continues to go on. Even though this is about a week out, all 5 of the models are all calling for tropical development. So this is a pretty serious situation we need to pay attention to. If all 5 of these models are calling for tropical development, I'm the one that's going to kind of raise the red flag by saying all these models are saying this is going to happen. We need to keep an eye on it, and we'll continue to update you here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But with that being said, we're closing the video out right here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us out, helps us make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.